the one, the only, Ben Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today we're starting a new parak, I believe the 7th parak of Daf It Sotah, Daf Lamed Beis, number 32. Interesting share for you today. A lot of interesting halachas about saying things in Lashon HaKodesh, or saying things, or can you say things in English or any language that you want to know? Well, let's jump into it. The Mishnah says, and the following things can be stated in any language that you're familiar with. You can say it. Doesn't specifically have to be Hebrew. Parsha Sotah. Sotah, or Masechta, when the Kohen tells the woman, warns her, and makes her take a shvu, he can say it in English or any language. Vidu Meiser on the 4th and 7th year, after the 3rd and 6th year, you're supposed to get rid of Meiser Sheni, money from your house. You're supposed to spend Meiser Sheni money. You're supposed to proclaim and say that you got rid of all your Meisros, not just Meiser Sheni, Meiser Ani. Any Meiser that you owed, you're supposed to get up and say that. You can say it in any language. Kriya Shema, you know what Kriya Shema is, hopefully. And you say it twice a day. Tefillah, Shemona Esrei, Birkas Hamazon. If you didn't know this, you can say, you can mention any language in English. Shua Sa'idas. Shua Sa'idas is basically a person takes a shvua that he doesn't know testimony. You want someone to testify for you in court, and he says, I don't know testimony. Swear to me, you're allowed to take a shvua. You can say that in any language. Shvua is hapikadon. If someone's watching something for you, you don't want to take a shvua. Baba Metzia deals with this extensively. You want to take a shvua that he wasn't negligent in watching your object. That's in any language. The following things specifically have to be said in Hebrew. Mikra bikurim. When you bring bikurim, right, which are the first of fruits of the Zion Minim, you have to bring them to the base of Mikdash and give them to the Kohen. There's a parsha you say, Ramin Ovid Avi, you say that in Hebrew specifically, Chalitza, Mesachas Yevamos. There's a procedure if a man decides not to use Chalitza, right? She says, and she says certain things, and he says certain things. Brachos v'klalos. That was one time that happened on Har Griz and Har Evel when they crossed the Yarden into Eretz Yisrael. They said the brachos and klalos on Har Griz and Har Evel. The Mishnah will discuss this. Birkas Kohanim. We know duchening when the Kohanim, that doesn't. It has to be specifically in Hebrew. But Birkas Kohen Gadol, when the Kohen Gadol comes out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim on Yom Kippur, he says a bracha that basically about the weather, a lot about it, that it should be favorable for the people that pass by the roads. It shouldn't rain a lot and things like that, and the plants should grow. That has to be in Hebrew also. Parshas HaMelech, also on Parshas HaMelech, actually this year, Motzei Shvius, the first year of the Shemitah cycle, on Sukkot, Motzei Yom Tov Rishon on Sukkot, the Melech would get in front of Azara and read from the entire Sefer Dvarim. That has to be in Hebrew. Parshas Eglah Rufa. Eglah Rufa is basically someone died between two cities, in the path between two cities. You don't know who's responsible for his death, so the city closest to him has a procedure of bringing a calf where you decapitate it in a valley. You say certain things. It has to be said in Hebrew. And also, when the Jews go to war, they fight a Melchemes mitzvah, or even a Melchemes Rishus. The Kohen, who's responsible for leading them in the battle, he says certain things in Hebrew. We'll learn about that towards the end of the Sefta. It has to be in Hebrew also. Bikurim Ketzad. So the Gemara starts to discuss the things which specifically have done in Hebrew. Bikurim Ketzad. How do you know Bikurim has to be done in Hebrew? V'anisa v'amarti al Hashem al-kecha. It says you answer and you say for Hashem. V'lahalanu omer v'anu al-levim v'amru. And by Har Grizim and Har Evel, it says anu al-levim. Levim speak out. And we're going to see Aniyah, to speak out, is loud. We'll talk more about this. The word difference in that word Amira and Aniyah in Iyod Ben Sion. Malahalam Lashon HaKodesh. The Gemara will derive later, not today, but in the coming daf, and we'll derive that by Har Grizim and Har Evel, the anu means out loud. Specifically in Hebrew language. Malahalam Lashon HaKodesh. Afkam Lashon HaKodesh. Here also, when it comes to Mikra Bikurim, it has to be Lashon HaKodesh. Chalitza case. I didn't know Chalitza has done in Hebrew. V'ansa v'amra. It says in the Parsha of Chalitza, v'ansa v'amra. Again, the word Aniyah. Well, lahalan omer v'anu alavim v'amru, and by Har Gidram Har Yeval, it says anu alavim, the same word. Malahalam Lashon HaKodesh, just like we're going to learn over there It was specifically in Hebrew. Afkan v'lashon hakodesh. Rehuda omer v'ansa v'amra. He has a different source. V'ansa v'amra kacha. Right? She gets up and she says kacha, like that. Achatomer v'lashon hazeh. Right? The word kacha is added. She can say it specifically like that. Specifically the way the Torah writes it. The Torah writes it in Hebrew. She has to say it in Hebrew. Those statements that she has to make. Brachos v'klalos keitzad. Kevan she'avru Yisrael hayarden ubal har grizim al irval shebeshomrom shebesad Shechem shebeisal elenam more. The Gemara digresses. The Mishnah digresses to discuss where Har Grizim and Har Evel were. They came to Har Grizim and Har Evel after they crossed the Yarden, which is basically next to Shechem, which is in the plains of More. Shnemar, how do you know that Shechem is next to Elonei More? Halohema be'ever HaYarden. Right? El Halon Omer Vayavar Avram be'eretz ad makom Shechem. The beginning of Sefer Bereshis, Parshas Lech Lecha. Ad Elon More, because they went to Shechem. Next to Elon More. Ma Elon More Amar LaHalan Shechem. Just like Avram, Shechem was located in the plains of More. Af Elon More Amar Kan Shechem. Just like Elon More by Har Grizim and Har Evel. It says Elon More. So therefore, it must be next to Shechem. How did the procedure of Har Grizim and Har Evel, what happened? Shisha Shvatim Alu L'Rosh Har Grizim. Shisha Shvatim Alu L'Rosh Har Evel. There were 12 tribes. 6 went to the top of Har Grizim, and 6 to the top of Har Evel. Vakana Levim Aaron Omdim Lamata B'Emsa. In the valley between them, the Kohanim Levim stood, and the Aaron was in the middle of them. HaKohanim Makivin as Aaron. The Aaron was directly in the middle. The Kohanim encircled the Aaron. The Levim encircled the Kohanim. Kol Yisrael Mikan, right? The six tribes of Israel were on one mountain, and 6 tribes on the other. Right, all of Israel and their elders, they would stand on each side. So the Kohanim and Levim specifically, the ones that sang it, they turned their face first to Har Grizim, where the brachos were said. They said, if you look in Parshas Kisavo, it talks about the brachos and the kolos. They started the bracha. The first bracha is blessed the people that don't make an idol. All 12 tribes answered Amen. Then the Levim turned to Har Evel, where the curses were said. Basically, it's the same thing. They're just saying it's cursed if a person makes idols. All 12 tribes answer Amen. Until they finish. Then they brought the stones. Right? It says in Yoshua, and it says that they when they crossed over the Yarden, they had the Yarden split. The Jordan River split, and they had stones which they took from the bedrock of the Jordan River, and they brought with them. And here next to Har Grizim and Har Evel, they built an altar. They put plaster on it. The Kasu Allah is called Divrei Torah b'shivim lashon. They wrote basically a synopsis of the Torah in 70 languages. Be'er Hativ explained very well. Be'er Hativ, so the 70 main languages it was explained in. Doesn't mean it was the entire Torah. It's impossible to write the entire Torah on some rocks. But the synopsis of the Torah. And then V'natos Havanim, they brought karbanos on this mizbeach. V'natos Havanim, then after they brought the karbanos, they took the stones, they dismantled the mizbeach. Ubo, the top of Lamed Beis Amud Beis, V'lanu Bimkoma. And they went to Gilgal, which is a place where the Mishkan eventually was. The Mishkan temporarily was, and they slept there, and they built those rocks as a monument for the miracles that happened crossing the Jordan and Har Grizim and Har Evel. So the Gemara says, Parsha Sotah Minolan. Where do you know Parsha Sotah is said in any language? The Kohen says to the woman, now it's not clear from this pasuk where we see in the pasuk that could be any language. Right, so there's a couple different explanations. If you look in Art Scroll, on footnote number 3, the Meiri says there's a different pasuk which says V'shpia osa kohen v'amar al isha. So it says Amar al isha twice. So one time is right for the literal translation of the pasuk, he has to speak to the woman, and the other extraneous pasuk to teach me it could be any language. Rashi says he changes it a different pasuk. V'amar al isha tichsiv. He learns it from Rashi, the El Isha, to the woman. Why El Isha? Any language that it has to speak to her, something that she can understand. Right? Not every woman can understand Lashon HaKodesh. I have a different shot, a different explanation, other than Rashi and the Meiri, and I'll explain it how it fits into the difference between the word Aniya and Amira. This is really from the word Va'amar HaKohen. Here's the word Amira. The Gemara is going to distinguish in there Amira and Aniya, which means basically speak out loud. Tanar Rabbanan. So the Brisa details some of the things that he says to her. The Kohen says to the woman in Sotah. Mashminosa b'chol lashon sheisha mas. You say, warn her in any language she understands. Amai shosa. You explain to her why is she drinking this water. Amai shosa. And what is she going to drink the meso? The alma nitmes. Why did she defile herself? Amahi nitmes. And what is considered adultery or defilement? Amahi shosa. Right, what would he explain to her? Al iske kina vestira. He's drinking it because there were two Eidim, according to Rabbi Yeshua, that saw the husband warn her not to seclude with a man, and two Eidim that saw her seclude with a man. Uvamaisha, what does she drink? An earthenware vessel filled with this mesota. Alma nitmes. Why did she defile herself? Al iske skok v'yaldis. She was childish. She engaged in too much levity. Uvamahi nitmes. And what is considered defilement? B'shogeg or b'mezid. If it's b'shogeg, if it was by accident, she's not responsible. She's not a sota. If it was amazing on purpose, yes. But honest, if she was forced, then no. Oberatzam. But if she was happy with it, then it would be considered adultery. Why is he explaining all these details to her? Because if they kill her and she wasn't explained properly what she did wrong, she doesn't understand what she did wrong, people are going to say bad things in the Mayamar. The procedure kills people when they don't even know what's going on. She's taking a shvuah. She's amen in the parsha. She doesn't know what's going on. Therefore, it has to be explained properly to show that nonetheless she understood what was going on, nonetheless she drank it, and she's responsible for her death if she dies. Vidu Meiser. How do you know that it can be in any language? You say in front of Hashem, I got rid of the Kodesh. Kodesh is Meiser Shem and Abayis. V'yolef Amira Misota. You learn the word Amira, a Gzera Shavah from Misota. B'chol Lashon and Shuomer. It says V'amar by both places. It's like by Sota we learn any language. How we know by Sota, I'll explain Iyod Ben Zion. My pshat. So also by Vidu Meiser, any language. Amalei Chol Lashon Shuomer. Amalei Razil Abai. Razita Abai. L'Leilef Amira Milavim. Learn it from Levium, from Har Grizim and Har Ivel. Malahalim Lashon HaKodesh. We learned in the Mishnah, we're going to see in the Gemara. The Gemara says that Har Grizim and Har Ivel, the brachos and the calls on Har Grizim and Har Ivel were specifically in Hebrew. Afkam Lashon HaKodesh. Danin Amira Gridasam, and Danin Amira Gridasam, Aniya V'Amira. It says by the Levium, by Har Grizim and Har Ivel, V'Anu V'Amru. So it says Aniya and Amira. However, by Sota and by Vidu Meiser, just as the word Amira, so therefore you learn from Sota. Tanya, Shimon Yochai Omer Adam. Tanya, Shimon Yochai Omer Adam Omer Shivcha v'Kol Namach. When you're talking about your praise, the good things about yourself, you say it quietly. You don't have to go telling everybody about it. Gnusa doesn't mean you shouldn't say it. You should say your good things, but you don't have to go publicize it, unless you're advertising for a YouTube channel. V'Kol Namach. The Gnusa b'Kol Ram, and you should speak about the bad things about yourself in public. You should speak loudly about them. Shivcha b'Kol Nama. How do you know you speak about your praises b'Kol Nama? In Vidya Meiser. Vidya Meiser, right? You're talking about Biarti HaKodesh. You're telling God Hashem, I did everything you wanted. I did all the mitzvahs. I was Makayim the entire Torah. You're talking the positive about yourself. That you should say b'Kol Namach. Now, exactly where the Gemara knows B'Kol Namach, it's not really clear. I mean, it says that Vida Meises is done in any Lashon, word Amira, but how do you know it's a Kol Namach? We'll talk more about this in Iyod Ben Zion. Gnusa B'Kol Ram, Mikra B'Kurim. Mikra B'Kurim is you talk about the bad side. Aram Yovid Avi. You go when you give the B'Kurim to the Kohen, you talk about the sins of your forefathers, right? Aram Yovid Avi. They did Avodah Zarah with Tchilak. We say in the Haggadah on Pesach. The first they did Avodah Zarah. So you say that at Kol Ram. The Gnusa b'Kol Ram, is it really true that you talk about the bad things about you degrade yourself publicly in a loud voice? Why are you supposed to daven Shema Esrei silently? No one's supposed to hear. People, a lot of people talk about their sins in during Shema Esrei. They talk to Hashem privately. So therefore, it shouldn't embarrass people when they say their sins. It should be quietly. How do you know the Torah is worried about this? The Torah, both for a korban for a chatas and an olah. A chatas is brought for a sin. And an olah, korban olah, is brought usually as an adava. You're giving a present to God. It has nothing to do with sinning, right? Both of them are slaughtered in the same place, to the north of the mizbeach. So the Torah wanted to cover up on a person's sins. Whereas lo tema gnuso el emasaro. Right? You're not supposed to talk about your negative qualities. You're not supposed to talk negative qualities at all. You shouldn't talk about negative qualities. Ematzaro. If you're in pain, you should tell other people about it. He gets banished from 3 camps. He says he should call out Tami Yikra. He has to tell everyone how terrible it is to be a Mitzorah, right? You have to let your hair grow long. You have to rend your garments. You're thrown out of all the machanos, 3 machanos. When they hear how bad it is for you, people will daven for you. Anyone who's in a state of tsar, he's in a state of distress, he has to tell everyone about it. He has a medical condition, he has financial conditions. Obviously, you should try to rectify him privately, but if it's not helping, then you should let other people know about it. Why? People will daven for you. Gufa. Why was davening instituted to be quietly? People daven for their sins, they talk about their sins. People shouldn't be embarrassed. How do you know this to be true? The Torah, we learn from the Torah. The Torah said the same place that the korban chatas is slaughtered, the olah is slaughtered. They're both slaughtered in the same place. There is a difference. Dam chatas lamala, dam olah lamata. When you bring the blood, the Kohen brings the blood of the chatas. He applies the blood on the 4 corners of the mizbeach on top, right? The korban olah and all the other korbans you just throw on the bottom. You don't throw it on. You don't put the 4 corners. Only the chatas, so people will know that it's a chatas. Whereas the hasam Kohen who the yada. Really, that's the end of the korban. That's the application of the blood. Only the Kohen really knows it. No one else really sees that. Va'ika chatas nekeva ola zachar. Chatas is different. Korban chatas is brought from a female animal, and ola is brought from a zachar animal. People will know it's a female animal. Whereas the hasam michsia be'elia. Right? Normally, when you bring a korban chatas, it could be either a sheep or it could be either a goat. A sheep is covered, has a tail in the back, and it covers up the fact whether it's a zachar and a keva. There's a tenach kvasa, sira Michael. What if he brings a goat? Right? There's no tail for the goat. You'll be able to see that it's in a keva. Hasam ihu dekam michsef nafshe. It's his fault. If he wanted to protect himself, to cover up his sins, he should have brought a lamb. He should have brought a kevis. V'kamaisi sira. Nonetheless, he embarrasses himself by bringing a goat. People see it in a keva. However, when you sin for avodah zarah, b'shogeg, you bring there. It has to be a seir. It has to be a goat. It has to be a female goat. There's no way of covering it up. There he should be embarrassed. It's a pretty severe sin to do avodah zarah. So part of the atonement for the avodah zarah is that everyone should know that he sinned with avodah zarah. But other sins, the Torah allows you to cover them up. Kriya Shema. It says in the Mishnah that Kriya Shema can be said in any language. Minolan, how do you know? The Shema Yisrael. The word Shema Yisrael. Hear Israel. Shema is in general word. Hear, right? Hear it means basically understanding. Any language that you understand. Kriya Shema Kichsava. Diri Rebbe. Rebbe actually argues on a Mishnah. He says it has to be said in the way that it's written. It's written in Hebrew. The Torah is written in Hebrew. You only read the Torah in Hebrew. So therefore, it has to be said in Hebrew. Like our Mishnah, any language. My time with the Rebbe. What's Rebbe's reasoning? It says Vayu advarim Vayu, but have yasang you. They have to be the way they are in the Torah. Rabbanan Amakra Shma any way that you hear, that you understand. Rabbanan Nam Yaksi Vayu. Rabbanan also it says Vayu. What do they do with the pasuk Vayu? Ahu Shalo Yikrenel Mafreya. That ahu is to tell you that you shouldn't read it. You shouldn't read out of order. You have to read the way the Torah says. If you read the second parak before the first parak, right, or even in one parak you read the later psukim before the earlier psukim, it's pasul. It's not a good Kriya Shema. Where does he know that from? It could have said vayu dvarim eila. Why the extra hay? To tell you specifically, it has to be right in the right order. Rabbanan dvarim hadvarim l'mashmalei. Why did they learn out of the hay? They don't darshan extra hay. Rebbe nami yaksiv shema. Rebbe also says the word shema. It sounds like it has to be. It could be in any language that you understand. He learns from there that whenever you say Kriya Shema, you have to be able to hear. Whatever Kriya Shema, sometimes some mitzvahs, some words that you say, mitzvahs, you have to be able to hear what you say. If you said Kriya Shema so silently, your own ears didn't hear it, you're not yotzei. Rabbanan Savri Lakman Damar Akore Shema Velashmi Lazna Yatsa. The Rabbanan don't have a problem with that. They hold b'di'evid, if you say Kriya Shema, you don't hear it, your ears don't hear it. As long as your lips say the words, even though your ears don't hear it, you're yotzei b'di'evid. So when it says Lema Kasava Rebbe Kol HaTorah B'Chol Lashon Now, Tav Lama Gimel and Aleph. Say Rebbe holds that the entire Torah, meaning every other mitzvah in the Torah, could be said in any language. Only Kriya Shema. This has to be in Hebrew. If you'll tell me that you can only say it in Hebrew, right? It sounds like when the Torah went out of its way by Kriya Shema to say V'hayu, according to Rabbi, it has to be specifically done in Hebrew, right? Sounds like the entire Torah, every other bit in the Torah, right, could be in any language. So the Gemara answers low. It's the rech mishum d'chsiv shema. No, really, you can't make an implication. You can't imply anything about the rest of the Torah. It says shema, like the Rabbanan says shema. So the fact that the Torah says the word shema sounds like it could be any language. Therefore, by Kriya specifically, it had to say v'hayu. But the rest of the Torah also, it's possible that some mitzvahs only can be done b'lashon hakodesh. Lema k'tavi Rabbanan kol Torah kulo b'lashon hakodesh demra. Say the Rabbanan hold that the entire Torah has to be done in lashon hakodesh. The fact that it says Shema right here in any language sounds like the rest of the Torah. It has to be specifically in Lashon HaKodesh. Where the answer is no. It's since like Rebbe said, it says Vayu, which sounds like it has to be in Hebrew. Therefore, it says Shema to negate that. But really, the entire Torah, it's possible. Also, could be done in any language. Sorry about the background noise. If you heard any background noise, hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in Ian Ben Sion when we talk about the difference between Aniya and Amira. The word Aniya, which seems to imply Lashon HaKodesh, and Amira, which seems to be any language. And we'll explain why Sotah. How do we know that a Sotah can be done in any language? Ian with Ben Sion coming up next.